this young lady that happens to be born out of Kilgore, Texas. That's East Texas. That's the country part of East Texas down there, Kilgore. All right? And she graduated from Chapel Hill High School. So any of you in there from Kilgore, this is your home girl that's about to come up here, all right? Yes. She graduated also from Tyler Junior College, where she received her Texas Associate Degree, AA. She then graduated and went on, well that wasn't enough, so she went to East Texas State University in Commerce and received her Bachelor of Science degree, a BS. And that wasn't enough, so she said, well, I'm going to go over here and run over to Texas A&M in Commerce and get her Texas Master of Education degree. So now she just keep on going like an energizing bunny. She came to the Dallas Independent School District, and she's worked at several different schools educating our children. She worked at Julius Dorsey Elementary School, Harry Stone, Cesar Chavez, where she was a teacher, Alex Spencer Middle School, where she was a teacher, but just being a teacher wasn't enough. So she went to Robert T. Hill Middle School, where she became assistant principal and associate principal. And then she went to Fred Lawrence Middle School as an associate principal. And then Thomas West Brown Middle School, that's over there by Kimball High School, where she was associate principal. And then, after all those years of teaching our children, she broke loose and went over to Legacy Charter Academy, and she became principal. So now, she's just moving on up in the world. Let me say that she does have children, and no sons, but she has a house full of daughters. One set of twins. Okay? I asked her just the other day, I said, now, Miss Davis, could you please leave your job and come over, because I got a house full of beautiful seniors that want to see an inspiring, young, successful person that she feels that open up the doors even for her to be able to go to school. You can go back and remember the times during the civil rights, and you go back to Alabama, and you can remember Governor Wallace standing at the front door, not wanting to allow folks to get their education. Miss Mary Davis went ahead to keep that door in, and she got her education all the way to her master's. So with that, I asked Ms. Davis to come and visit with us today here and share a few words with us to you. So if you all would not mind, please join me in welcoming to our microphone here on your behalf, Miss Mary Davis. Ms. Davis.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is wonderful to be with you on this wonderful Wednesday, and I want to thank the Honorable Mr. Caraway for inviting me to be here to speak. As I was perusing the program, I saw that he had given me 15 minutes, and being an educator, I'm going to try to keep it to 15 minutes. I would like to know how many of you, and just a show of hands because I know you're eating, you are the product of a Dallas ISD school. Would you please raise your hand? Wonderful, wonderful, fabulous. I would also like to know, do I have any educators in the I'm gonna say classroom, in the room? Are there any educators here? Wonderful. And I would like to welcome you all here. It is with great pride that I talk to you today about the education of our children. Truly, you, being those in the past, have laid the foundation for all of us, and especially for what I chose to do on a daily basis. Each day that I get up and go to work, I look back at all of my wonderful teachers. You see, my teachers were gods and goddesses. And this is what I share with my students. They're the ones who helped to mold me, along with my mother and my father and my grandmother, who I love dearly. She passed away at the age of 11, but my grandmother set a course for me every day. My grandmother had a 3rd grade education, but she made sure that all 7 of her children finished high school, and several went on to graduate college. And so, in bringing my own children forth, I have 4 daughters, as Mr. Caraway said. I pounded every day that education was the key. As I look around at our communities today, and especially communities where there's a lot of struggle, I often ask the question, what is the level of education in those communities? Because at one time, it was an embarrassment not to at least have your high school diploma. I know after being in Dallas ISD for 26 years, at one point 50% of our students were leaving the district without a high school diploma. And I used to ask the question, where are they going and what will they do? And so as time goes on and those numbers rise, where are they going and what will they do? And so we're starting to see some of the effects of where they have gone and what they're doing. When homes are being broken into, when the crime rate rises, these young people now have no other recourse in their mind except to become pillars of destruction in the community. So it is my charge every day to go out and make sure that when kids leave my stead, that they have truly been educated. I call on you, the seniors in the communities, to not walk away. You know, I can remember my mom saying, you know, I've done mine, I've raised my children, now I'm going to go home and sit down. And I used to say to her, but you can't stop here, because there are others coming along. And so I ask you to continue to be in the schools. Last year, I was in a PTA meeting with the school where I worked. 800 students in the school. 1 parent at the PTA meeting. And it was devastating for me to see that. 1 parent in the meeting. We have a lot of grandparents who are raising their grandchildren today. We have a lot of great-grandparents who are raising their children, these children today. And so we need you to not walk away from us in these schools, but we need you to be there to help be that sage that a lot of these kids need, to help be that sage that a lot of our young teachers need. And so as we continue to travel through, I'm going to ask you today, I challenge you today, to find a school in your community. Go in, speak with the principal there, and ask them, how can I help? We have children in 8th grade who are reading on a 1st grade level. 8th grade. Getting ready to go to high school, and they're reading on a 1st grade level. And so if you did nothing else except go into the school once a week, set up a time that you could meet with certain students to read with that student, to give that student some wisdom, to share some of the knowledge that you have, because you have lived through many things, and you bring that wisdom and knowledge into our schools and into our buildings. So you need to be there. Let me tell you about my school. I am now at the principal at Legacy Preparatory Charter Academy. It sits out in the heart of Pleasant Grove. I was in Dallas for 26 years, and at the end of last year, I tendered my resignation because I wanted to go do a little bit more. My students in K and 1st grade are learning Spanish and English because that's the time that we live in. When they leave 1st grade, they will be able to speak it, read it, and write it. If they speak English, thank you. If they speak English, they will be able to speak Spanish, read Spanish, and write it, and vice versa. These are the times that we live in. My 2nd through 5th graders are doing what is called project-based learning. So they're learning how to publicly speak, how to publicly present, how to get their ideas down on paper, and then how to get up in a forum like this and share that out. They're learning how. My little boys, I wish you could see how they're so happy to put on their dress-up shirt and their tie. And I had one come to me the other day and said, "Miss Davis, can you show me how to tie this tie?" And so, trying to remember back to when I used to put a tie on my father, I said, "Well, let me see if I can fiddle here." So we figured it out, and we got it together. So they dress up and they go into their classrooms and they present to their classmates. These are the times that we're in, because when our little people leave us, we want them to be able to go out and do these things. My 6th and 7th graders each have a laptop, and so they're now coming into the world of technology where they can go online and they can research and they can see how things are beyond the 4 walls of Dallas, Texas, and they can reach out into the world and see other things that are going on in the world. And so they too must learn how to present themselves in terms of the written language as well as the spoken language. So these are the kind of students that I want to produce. Another thing that is taught in my school is manners. They must learn how to say please and thank you. They must learn how to pull up their pants. You know, Mr. Caraway had a big campaign going here in the past year, pull up your pants. Well, in the school where I am, they can't come in unless that is done. They know the expectation when they walk through that door. We talk about respect. We want them to understand what it is to be respectful. We want them to understand what it is to be responsible. We teach them about being trustworthy. You know, I can put my purse over here and I don't have to worry about it. And so these are the kind of children. I have almost 400 students that are being brought up in my school. We will have a senior day where the seniors will come in, because I want seniors to come in and share the past with my students. I just had a conversation this morning with my 7th graders, and I talked to them about Dr. King and how I cried this summer when I went to see his statue in Washington, D.C., overlooking that. I don't know if you all have been there, but you have to go. His statue stands there and it looks out over the Potomac River. And I told them how I stood back and I was looking at it and I was reading the words that are inscribed on that statue. And I saw these little children, they were just running around and the people were taking pictures. And I stepped back and I started to cry. And my husband said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I'm overwhelmed. I don't think they understand what this man stood for. He was a drum major for peace and justice. I'm a drum major for education. And I see these little children running around here, but they're not being educated about this man." And so we must continue to beat the drum for our seniors and people who have gone on. You know, Dr. King left us when he was in his 30s. He would be well probably into his 70s now. He would be a senior. And I want these children to know how important you are. I want them to know the foundation that you laid. I want them to know the ground that you trotted and how you have set the course that we continue to go down. I want students, when they leave the building where I am, to know, I want to know that I've had an impact on their life and that they've been set on a great course. So we need you as a part of that. We need you to continue to go into these schools and be a part of what goes on there. You know, I was looking at the Chicago teachers and how they went out and they went on strike. I just always felt that Dallas ISD should be the best, or would be the best, large school district in the country. And I still feel that in my soul. But in order for it to be that, we're going to have more drums beating. I wanted to be a part of the solution and not a part of the problem. And so that's why I had to step out on faith. When I was asked to be the principal at this charter school, I thought long and hard about it, because Dallas ISD was where I needed to be. That's where the children were that I needed to work with. And let me just tell you about one of my students that I had in Dallas ISD. His name was Jamal. And when I got Jamal, I was teaching at Harry Stone Montessori Academy. And Jamal was in the 4th grade. And one day, we were reading, and Jamal couldn't read. So I called his mom and I said, "Miss White, I need you to come to the school. We need to have a conference." And so Mother came, and as I was talking to her, I said, "I asked Jamal to read today, and he couldn't read." And she said, "Oh, Miss Davis, I know that's not true." She said, I see him read every night. He's always got his books out, and he's always looking at a magazine." And I said, "Has he ever read to you?" And she said, "No." I said, "Have you ever read to him?" And she said, "No." I said, "Well, let me get this book. I want him to read to you." And so we pulled out a book on about a 2nd grade level, and every other word, he struggled. She said, "Miss Davis, I can't believe this because he's always been on the A-B honor roll. He's always brought good grades home. I am just," and she stopped and she broke down and she cried. And I cried with her. And so I pulled in a lady that I had known from my past, a senior, if that's what you want to call her. She came every day and she worked with Jamal. I had a teacher assistant there who was wonderful, and she worked with Jamal. And let me just tell you, as time went on, Jamal left me. He went on through middle school. His invitation in the mail, it was from Jamal. And so I went to see Jamal march and get his high school diploma. And you know what he said to me? Because I told him, I said, "Jamal, you graduated?" He said, "Yes, Miss Davis, and I want you to know I graduated with honors." And so this is the kind of impact that we have to have on children. And so Jamal went on to the University of Florida, or Florida A&M, excuse me, and he got his bachelor's degree. And from time to time, I hear from him. I was looking at the children over here that were from Townview. And a lot of my students, when they left Harry Stone, they went to Townview. And I had one young man named Ryan. And Ryan was also a kid that I got in the 6th grade. His father had been killed in a violent carjacking and body was left in a car in South Dallas. Ryan didn't talk when I first got him. So I told him one day, I said, "Ryan, we had a round robin. I said, bring something to share." I said, I know about your dad. I said, I heard he was a gospel singer. Bring his CD. Bring a picture of him. Share this with the class. And so the next day or so, he brought in his picture. He brought the CD. We put on the music. We listened. And he talked about his father. And that opened a door for Ryan. Ryan left me, went on to Townview, to the Business Magnet, graduated with honors, and he is now a graduate of Morehouse University. So there are a lot of good things that happen in Dallas ISD. And let me just tell you, Ryan is about 6'7" now, almost 7 feet tall. And so this summer he came to see me because now he's married. He has a little one of his own. And he was looking for a job. And so I said, oh my God, my students are now coming back to work. It's time for me to maybe move out of this. And I had thought seriously, I said, well, I'm just gonna let him go out there and search, because his heart was set on going back to work at Townview, his alma mater. And so I told him, I said, well, good luck on your interview. So he went and he got the job. And so he's teaching at his alma mater. I told him, I said, if you had not got the job there, I was gonna hire you in my school, because I know what kind of student you are. And I know that you had a hard-working, a praying grandmother, and you had a hard-working and a praying mother. And so they have raised you to be this wonderful man. And so I have moved on from Dallas ISD, but I have left a lot of good things there, and I have touched a lot of lives over the years. I am now in a whole new place, working to touch many more lives, hoping that seniors as yourselves will continue to be a part of the education in this city, making sure that this city does right by the children, making sure that this district does right by the children, making sure, holding me accountable, and making sure that even the kids who are in my charter school, that they get the best. I appreciate all of you today. It is so wonderful to see all of you here. I hope that you will continue to support the education and to support this great city. We are so blessed to have Mr. Caraway as a part of. Yes, you can give him a hand because he is wonderful. Just a blessing to have him to be a part of this great city, and I do thank you.
Let me just say a couple of things. Wonderful to have you here, and we hope that you continue. And we hope that the message that Ms. Davis has delivered is an inspirational message to let you know, even though you're seniors, your work is still not done. If I could give everybody in here a switch, so we go back to the switch days and really get things in order. We don't have to worry about these boys with pants down. But you can't put the pants down, you put that switch on there behind there, pull the pants on up. So there's a whole bunch of things we really need to do. But I want to thank Ms. Davis and thank each and every one of you. Let me say a couple of things to you now. Ladies, you've received your roses, and we still have a little ways to go. But there are a few things we'd like to do at this time. One, I want to roll in my other stuff. I'm going to do a little talking here, and then I'm going to do some presenting. Now let me tell y'all about this. Well, before I tell you about this, the most important thing I can say, we're not supposed to be political here at City Hall. So I'm not going to tell every one of you all to make sure on October the 9th, first day of early voting, I'm not going to tell y'all to go out there and make sure you go and vote for Barack Obama. I'm not going to tell you that. All right? I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to be checking the roll to make sure that everybody has voted and you've got all your grandchildren and nieces and nephews and cousins and friends and those folks that are just out there. I'm not going to tell you to tell them to make sure that they get their behinds in that voting booth and vote for Barack Obama. I want to make sure that I'm not going to say that, all right? This is something that's very special, and I'm holding this bottle up because there's a lady by the name of Miss Jan Gore, and she owns a restaurant, and it has that Jamaican food and all of that jerk chicken and all that good stuff. Well, I personally went into her restaurant, and she had this little sauce over there, and that you dip it in. And I'm telling y'all, this particular sauce that was in there, this is a hot sauce version of it. But when I dipped it in there, it was like that catfish Floyd tartar sauce, y'all. The tartar sauce that you can just remember. Yeah. So it's to that magnitude. But now, what I did, and probably one reason I began to gain a little weight, is because I took the sauce home and I put it on my shrimp and I put it on the chicken and I put it on the steak and I just started putting it everywhere. So I want y'all to know this is some good sauce. Alright? So the sauce is so good that you know, I'm trying to do the Oprah Winfrey. I said, well, let me buy me about 100 bottles of this sauce and make sure everybody in here get a bottle of sauce. What they've done, you're going to get a bag as you leave, and in that bag, it's going to have a bottle of this sauce. This is good stuff. I want y'all to know that. And now, if I could at this time, for our speaker to come, Sloan, just put her batteries in, move a little slow. This is my administrative assistant. I want you all to know, so I can pull on a little bit. So Ms. Davis, we certainly would like to present to you for speaking all these beautiful beautiful roses, and they smell pretty good, but they're reflected in appreciation from us to you. Where's the other thing we have for Miss Davis? We had something else for you, Miss Davis, taking out of your time. Just a little something from us to say thank you for taking out all your time, okay? And it's a wonderful message, wonderful speech. Also, I want to recognize the person that speaks every single day on your behalf. I have an opportunity to appoint a person to the Senior Affairs Commission, and that person is me sitting there, but I'm not sitting there. This person goes on my behalf, your behalf, make all of the decisions, make all of the meetings, do all of the, we need this and we need that, to make sure that you have dental and everything else that's afforded to you. You know, I went to get my mother's prescription, and my mother's prescription, one of the medications was $153. I thought I walked up there at Walmart with my $4, thinking I'm going to get this medicine. And thank goodness I had a little extra money with me at that time, because my mama sure had that medicine. It was $153. I said, y'all must be mistaken. So I understand exactly what you as seniors are going through, because I've had that experience myself. But we have somebody that keeps it on our mind here in the city of Dallas, the importance of making sure that we look after the seniors. So I'd like to make a little special presentation to our esteemed Senior Affairs Commissioner, Ms. Dorothy Willis. Ms. Willis, this is for you. All of the service. We got you some of these little flowers. We got you this beautiful plaque, and we got you one of them bags with that hot sauce in it. All right. At this particular time, I'm going to have to turn it over to Gaither, and we're going to be getting ready to close. We, the City Council, we're going to be utilizing this room. They're holding up the whole meeting because of us being up here. So that's just too bad, because we're going to finish off our program. We got to go through our little security thing, but they got to wait on that, because we are the ones that pay the bills around here. Yeah, they went up on the water bill, didn't they? So So we're going to make them understand that we're going to use every inch of City Hall. Tell the mayor I said it. All right. Now, so at this particular time, we got a few door prizes, and we're going to do that. I want to thank the caterer, and most importantly, before I relinquish the microphone and while I have you all's attention, I really want you all to know that all I have to do is make some decisions and say I want this, and walk upstairs, and the table is set, the photographer is here, the food is here, the plates are here, and the flowers are delivered, and all of those great things. I cannot do that without the most fantastic staff in the city of Dallas. Every council member, they're jealous of my staff because we do it first class. So I want to say thanks to my entire staff, Norma and Sloan. Dee stepped up to the plate, and Devondrick, but this is Miss Gaither. I want you all to know Miss Gaither says go. So I want to say thank you publicly to each and every one of you, and all the rest of them that are missing downstairs that can hear us, that did play a part in Ms. Gaither.
Let's give it up for Councilmember Dwayne R. Caraway. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
And I have to also, besides thanking all of my co-workers, I certainly want to say a special thank you, and I ask you to join me in thanking Miss Dee Dee Willis, who has her own company, Facilitator Pro, and this is her beautiful mother, Miss Dorothy Willis, the Senior Affairs Committee. Oh, y'all can do better than that now. See how pretty she is? She get it from her mama. Yeah. All right. Now, I've got these beautiful people here. Miss Sloan, raise your hand. As Mr. Caraway said, that's Executive Assistant. Miss Norma, raise your hand. Executive Secretary. Devondrick, he used to be one of my interns. And now he's going on to be the big executive at State Farm Insurance Company. Y'all look for him. He'll be in the White House in about 10 years, okay? All right, now get those.
He said he's going to run for city council. take my seat after I...
Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? Y'all give him some encouragement. That's nice. That's a young man. All right, real quick. I need you to look at your tickets, and I've got these people who are going to run to you.